What is up, Coach Emma here, and welcome back to the Fit Habit Life podcast, where we cut through the noise, talk real health and fitness, sustainable fat loss, and habits that actually work. And on today's episode, I will be talking about hormone replacement therapy, my perspective as a coach who's helped people who are on it, and I guess my opinion. This is not, and I guess disclaimer, excuse me, sorry, I just had some diet soda. Disclaimer, this is not medical advice. You should talk to your medical professional before making any decisions. This is just my opinion as a coach and someone who has helped people who utilize it and has seen people utilize different types of hormone replacement therapies and what I've seen in good providers and providers that I'd avoid. But anyway, had to add that in just in case, legal reasons, I guess. But if you've been enjoying the show, listening to the show, and you've gained a lot from it, if you could rate the show, share the show, or subscribe, that just helps me get in front of more people, which helps me help more people, which is the goal of the show. So anyway. Hormone replacement therapy. Do you actually need it? And so this is my opinion as a coach, how I guide clients through this. So usually around 50, maybe it's early 40s, maybe it's late 50s, around the age of 50, most people's hormone production, natural hormone production, goes down for a variety of reasons, but just naturally, that is pretty common. At that point, it would be worth going to a functional physician, a functional health coach like myself, getting some labs drawn, if you haven't before, that gives you a full hormone panel. So looking not just at testosterone and estrogen, but testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, SHBG, FSH, LH, thyroid, T3, T4, free T3, reverse T3. That's all I can think of off the top of my head to get a good idea of where your hormones are. Usually, common symptoms. Women in menopause usually experience these the most. Unexplained weight gain around the midsection, brain fog, lower energy, more fatigue, just poor quality sleep. That's a big one. Difficulty building muscle. If you've never had gut issues or you have a pretty healthy gut before entering menopause, oftentimes women entering menopause develop gut issues because estrogen and progesterone are very important for a healthy gut. Those are common too. Men, common red flags are low energy, lower libido, brain fog, fatigue, more weight gain too, less drive. That's all I can think of right now. So those are like common symptoms, but the caveat, that's why I said mid-50s, caveat. If you're earlier than that and having those symptoms, here's what I do first, and this is what I do with my clients. First, we focus on lifestyle. Do you have a sleep routine and are you getting like 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night? 2, are you drinking water? Are you drinking enough water? 3, what does your diet look like? Are you consuming an excess of calories day in and day out? Or are you eating a pretty balanced diet with enough protein and fiber to support a healthy body composition, and stable energy levels? Are you lifting weights? Are you strength training? And what does your movement look like? Are you getting enough movement throughout the day? Are you getting close to 8,000 steps? How is your stress? Are you managing your stress well? Or are you a stress cadet like myself? Always a work in progress. Those are the basics. Dial those in before anything. Because if you're not doing these things, your hormones are going to be shitty. You're going to have low testosterone. You're probably not going to have a healthy, just overall balance of hormones. You're probably going to be either underweight or overweight. You're probably not going to have a good, healthy body composition. And that's what's going to be key. Muscle is very important as well. So if you've never focused on building muscle or getting strong, that's going to help your hormones too. And that's going to help you as you age anyway. Muscle is the organ of longevity. I think Dr. Gabrielle Lyon said that. But basically, it's a very preventative organ to have on your frame. Because if you're stronger, the probability of you falling and breaking a hip is a lot less. If you're focusing on getting strong and building muscle, that's going to help your bone mineral density too, because you're going to need to eat enough protein in order to build and recover. And just in general, strength training does help your bone density. So anyway, and strength training helps your natural levels of testosterone. So does sleep quality. So one bad night of poor sleep can drop your testosterone levels in half. It'll go back to normal, but that just goes to show like how important these basics are. And if you're not doing these basics and you go on hormone replacement therapy, it's not going to work as it should. You're probably going to need a lot more, and it's probably not going to be as effective. So anyway, but if you are doing those things and you're still having gut health issues, that is when you address the gut health first, because the way that you assimilate nutrients, the way that your body digests and breaks down things, if it can't do that properly, your body's not going to have the tools to build a healthy body, hormones, brain, all the things. So then we address gut health. Then if you still have a lot of those symptoms, that's when we look towards that, because oftentimes in the fitness space, I'd say this is pretty common. Like myself, I have hormone issues and I'm 28, right? That's not normal, but it's normal for somebody who has pushed their body to the brink for a long time. And women's bodies can't handle as much stress as men's. Sorry, ladies, it's just true. And so the amount of stress I put my body under, the amount of stress I've been under through life and other things, that disrupted my hormones. And I know I don't need to be on hormone replacement therapy, but I have these hormone issues. So you know what I'm doing? I'm trying to regulate my stress better, because I'm 28. That's really young, right? I don't need that. But because of the situation that I've put my body under for years, I might go through early menopause. That's really common, unfortunately, for people who have put their bodies in severe states of stress. If you were a lifting bro and you just maybe utilize things like anabolics, that's going to downregulate your natural production of testosterone. So this wouldn't necessarily apply to you. You might just have low levels because you used exogenous steroids to, build muscle, and that could downregulate your body's natural production. And so it might not be as optimal as it could have been had you not done that, right? Same for me. So that's why it's kind of nuanced. But basics first, then gut health. And then if still having symptoms, then that's when I would go see a provider and get tested. As I said, I recommend a functional doctor a hormone replacement clinic or a functional health coach just to get labs drawn to see. And then you can take it to, again, functional doctor, hormone replacement clinic to get that therapy. Because the traditional medical system will give you hormones that are like hormones, but they aren't bioidentical. So your body doesn't utilize them the same. And that's why there was a scare in the past about breast cancer and all these other things with hormone replacement, but it wasn't hormone replacement. It was the hormone-like things, medications, prescriptions that doctors were giving their patients. But bioidentical hormones are great, and they mimic the hormones that your body naturally produces. So that kind of moves on to my next point. What should you look for when you're trying to get hormone replacement therapy? If you think you need it, if you've gotten your labs drawn, your levels are suboptimal, you don't feel very good, you should get bioidentical hormone replacement. And there's a couple different ways to get it. You do creams, pellets, injections. What I've seen as a coach, the two best options are creams and injections. And I will explain why, because I've had this conversation a lot with clients recently that are using pellets, or even friends that are using pellets. And pellets, they'll say slow release, special like pellet that, just it's like, no. These pellets are in your body. Basically, they cut an incision. Usually it's butt or lower back fat. They insert these pellets. Men have to get a lot because they have higher levels of testosterone. Women don't need that much, but it's testosterone and estrogen together usually. But you cannot control how your body metabolizes it. So if you're super active, you train, you walk a lot, and you get the pellets, your body's going to metabolize them really quick. So you're going to feel like a superhuman. You will feel like a superhuman because your body's going to use up all that stuff. And that's what makes it hard to use, because you cannot regulate how your body uses it. Whereas with the creams and the injections, you can dose it appropriately. And so you'll have less peaks and dips. It'll be more stable levels. So those are what I'd recommend. And then what should you look for in a provider? So in general, from experience, I would stay away from med spas. They're a business. They tend to focus on how you feel, which is important. But that doesn't mean that's not the end all be all. If a provider is just talking about how you feel, but isn't assessing the values, that's a red flag. Because of course you're going to feel amazing if your testosterone is 300 as a woman, which is like over 3x what it should be. You're going to feel like a superhuman. That's anabolic level of testosterone levels. Or that's bodybuilder, steroid level, female testosterone levels. So of course you're going to feel superhuman. You feel awesome, amazing. That's not healthy. I have a friend, her voice dropped because her provider was terrible and her testosterone was in the 300s. That is not normal. That is not right. You do not want that as a woman. Trust me. Other parts of the body can grow too, lower regions. So you got to be careful. That's why it's like there are repercussions for pushing the level. There's an optimal range for a reason, right? Optimal is it's going to help you feel the best without creating other weird shit. Yeah. So if you're a lady, you're like, what would 300 level of testosterone do to my body? Just look it up. Lower region can grow. Facial hair. Vocal cords dropping. chest hair, more acne. There's probably others I'm missing. I have not gone on it personally. But yeah, so that's why it's like, yeah, how you feel is important, but that's not the end all be all. If the provider you're seeing is not testing you every 6 months, red flag. If the provider you're going to says there's only one way to do hormone replacement, red flag. If you're like, hey, my coach was talking to me about creams and that kind of sounds a lot better to me than doing the pellets, and they're like, nope, pellets are the best way. That's all we do. Red flag. If your provider is like, or if you tell your provider, hey, I don't want to do the pill anymore, like the estrogen medication, I wanted to try like a transdermal cream, like a cream, and they're like, no. It's like, well, I've heard these things, and they're like, no, I'll just give you more, trust me. Red flag. These are actually stories from clients that I've worked with. That's where these are coming from. I had one client, back to the pellets, on a pellet. He's 70. He's had heart attacks. High levels of testosterone, like really high levels, cause increase in red blood cells, basically potential increase in getting a blood clot. And his testosterone level was 1500, and he's had 2 heart attacks. And the only reason we knew that is because I ordered labs for him, and we looked at his labs. The provider didn't do that. So we switched providers. I found him another provider that's been really great. And the most frustrating thing is, like, we had to wait a while to get him back on hormone replacement therapy because his levels were still so high. And we tested with that new provider. He ran 2 other sets of labs until they were like, okay, now we can start. And that's how it should be. So anyway, I've had a lot of experiences with clients, and that's why I'm very passionate about talking about this. If the provider, so just overall red flags, if the provider is not willing to do an approach that you want to do, switch providers. If the provider is trying to push things on you that you're not comfortable doing, switch providers. If the provider is providing for you, I don't want to do a blanket statement. There are probably some good hormone replacement providers and med spas, but I have not seen one yet. Yeah. And just in general, like if you're going to a doctor, any type of doctor, and you feel like you can't ask questions, they make you feel bad for asking questions, they don't listen to you, probably time to find a new provider. So anyway, I think I wrote down something else I wanted to talk about. Nope, I kind of did. So what to look for in a provider and red flags. And there's a couple providers that I recommend. The one that I've sent a lot of my clients to is Rise, HRT, RYZE, and they're really awesome. I've sent family members there. They've had a great experience. So I would recommend that. I have not had anybody else go to any other ones that were good that I would talk about on here. So that's the only one so far. But it doesn't mean there aren't other good ones out there. And there might be a great local provider in your area, which would be awesome. That would be so awesome because, as I said, it's kind of hard to find them. So you might have one in your local area. So look out for those. And yeah, but if you're like, I don't know, if you're in the US, Rise HRT, they everything's online, so they can deliver to you. I'm not getting paid by them also. I just have liked what I've seen with them through my clients, and they even send me the information. So I get the information from my clients or from them. So again, I'm not sponsored by anyone. I just do this for fun and to provide value, but they're good. So I've liked them so far. So from a coaching perspective who's had people go to places that I wouldn't recommend. But yeah, that's it. That's kind of all. I feel very passionately about this because like you can't play around with this. Like it can be dangerous. And if you have someone who's not listening to you, who is just doing things on, well, how do you feel? How are you feeling? Like kind of like, it's like, well, how about we run labs and see like, yeah, I'm feeling good, but maybe I'm feeling too good. You shouldn't feel better than you were when you had natural hormones. FYI. So that's another thing to look out for. But anyway, if you've enjoyed this episode, if it's been helpful, if you could rate the show, share the show, subscribe, that just helps me help more people and help me get in front of more people. And again, I'm going to end this show today on, this is not medical advice. This is my opinion as a human being. Before doing any of these things, please speak with your medical provider and, hopefully that's all I need for a disclaimer. Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.